I'm going to call the meeting to order of the St. John Economic Development Committee for February 23rd, 2022. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Emily Warren.
Here.
Scott.
Here.
Joe.
Here.
Myself. Dave Beeshold.
Here.
John DeYoung.
Here.
Kelly Stoming is on her way. I spoke with her, so I'm going to mark her.
Yep.
Jason, you're sitting in for the town manager.
Yep.
Present.
And
Mr. Aurelio?
Mr. Aurelio.
Here.
Okay. Thank you. Tonight we're going to go through our summary that Emily was so gracious to put together. She did an amazing job on that. Does everybody have a copy of that here and in the audience? She did a great outline from our last meeting. We also have Cindy Copenhaver in the audience and Mike Bovant here in the audience. I want to thank you guys for coming and appreciate that. So, Emily, what I would like you to do is kind of run through this.
Sure.
And we're going to start there, and then we'll have some discussion on the rest of the event
Sure.
here.
That sounds good. Like John said, put together kind of a summary of what we've talked about the past couple of meetings for the first annual Freedom Fest here in St. John. So on the first page, the executive summary just outlined what we're talking about, why we're looking to do this event, to create community, promote local business, which is certainly a charter of this committee, and then establish an additional potential revenue source for the town. Location, Heartland Park. Kelly actually emailed me about that. And then targeted date. It sounds like we have that we're closer to a date is what I'm hearing.
Did we pick a date? July
3rd.
July 3rd.
Yep.
And then just risk to call out that we've all talked through is the aggressive timeline for this July, and that vendors may have limited availability depending on what they've already been locked into for surrounding towns. Any questions on that page? Okay. So the next page, what I wanted to do was outline what those key objectives were and then how we'll measure success this year, knowing that it's going to be something that's smaller scale. Certainly would love feedback on these success measures. I think this is something that we can kind of collaborate on. I just put my thoughts in there. The first objective, promoting local business. I put a way to measure that success is making sure that we're featuring at least 5 local businesses. Creating community. I know we talked about attendance last time, but just wanted us to have in our heads what success would look like as far as number of attendees go. And then same thing with potential revenue source. I don't know if this year our goal would be to break even given timing, where we're at, if we want to put a revenue target out there, but this is, I think, something that we would need to discuss and align on. Questions?
I've talked to a few businesses, and I do have some revenue sources coming in for sponsorships. So that just preliminary discussion at this point, but they were very anxious to be part of it. So that's a good part to underwrite some of our expense. So,
Great.
yeah.
So on the next slide, we talked about this a little bit last time, but because of the aggressive timeline, how it's going to be really important to make sure that we have roles and responsibilities outlined so that we can make quick decisions. So I just outlined what I thought, again, up for debate. Key responsibilities would be across the town council, across this committee, and then with the event planner. So for the town council, they would make final decisions on budget, on the festival itself. They would be helping with the permits. I know we talked about liquor licenses last time. This committee would be responsible for providing this recommendation on objectives, success metrics, and budget, and then also, helping to support fundraising. And then event planner would be, high level, doing the detailed planning and coordination of the festival, providing regular updates on progress, were the key things I highlighted there. And then wanted to just highlight who the key contacts were from the various town departments. I'm sure that would be easy enough to pull, just so that it's easy for our planner to know who to reach out to for different things. Questions on that? Thoughts? Okay, the next slide just started to outline the key activities and high-level timeline. So first line item, the very initial planning, i.e. hire the planner. I had that in the month of February. Validate the feasibility in the proposed budget with a go, no-go kind of late March, early April. The thought there is, if we get into this and realize that it's either not feasible given the aggressive timeline or we're not able to lock in vendors, that gives us kind of a decision point to make that call for this year. And then we've still done some due diligence for future events, future years. Next couple items, securing vendors, fundraising, organizing volunteers. Those are all very high level timelines. We'll look for our planner to kind of solidify that and provide perspective there. Included a line item for marketing. And then last, I think it's important after we have this event, just to spend some time thinking through what went well, what didn't go so well, what would we recommend going in the future. I know we've talked about maybe making this either a repeatable festival or, the Oktoberfest idea. I think we can, at the bare minimum, learn a lot from this event. Then just other key activities. I won't read through all those, but those are just other things that we've kind of talked through as things that would need to be done leading up to the event. And then from a very next step standpoint, hiring the event planner and vetting the feasibility of the event. So that's really what's up next.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Very good. Yep.
Okay, so discussion here tonight. Rob has talked to 6 towns, maybe? You've talked to 6 communities, and you've 6, 7?
8.
8.
Talked to 8 different communities,
Right.
and also spoke with St. John the Evangelist Church
Yep.
to.
And would you review that then? with us,
Yes.
or-
So
all right.
the discussions were had with heads of park department and or event planners within these communities. Cedar Lake seems to be one of the ones we would be competing with on the July 3rd. They hold Summerfest June 27th through July 4th. Proximity of Cedar Lake, they're right next to St. John, so they don't have fireworks on that day, and I think that's our big draw, so I'm not really sure that would be a problem for us. Crown Point does not do anything on the 3rd. They have city picnic the Sunday prior to the 4th of July, and then they'll have a parade and fireworks on the 4th. So Crown Point really isn't an issue for us either. Neither is Dyer. Dyer, they are going for June 12th, as they always do, for their fireworks display. Schererville has a kind of a week of events also, similar to that of Cedar Lake. But again, they're not going to have fireworks in the same day, so that would also be in our advantage for us, as an advantage for us. Lowell has nothing planned this year as of yet, so either they're just not out of the gate yet, or they're not going to do anything. Highland, as always, is going to be fireworks on the 4th of July, but they also have a week events that they start June 30th. Munster, however, has fireworks on the 3rd as well. So it would be a proximity thing. Would we be in competition with Munster? There are a few communities to our north, so they might not be, they have a different pool. They draw from different communities than we would draw for. So I don't see that as too big of an issue. Griffith has a 4th of July parade on the 4th of July. So that also wouldn't be in a conflict with us. And that was from the events coordinator at Griffith. The St. John the Evangelist Church does their celebration July 7th through 10th. So that'll also be different days than we're looking. And that's not a municipality, but just because of the draw and the location, I thought it was important to mention that St. John the Evangelist.
Very good. Any questions for Rob?
Rob, you spoke with somebody at St. John regarding our plans. Did you say you spoke with somebody
What do you mean?
St. John the Evangelist? Or no?
Yes,
The church.
The church.
Yeah.
Did they have any issue with us having the fest as close
They
to
didn't.
theirs as?
No, they didn't mention anything. I
Okay.
mean, theirs is still quite a few days off of ours. You know, ours is slated for the 3rd, and theirs is going to be the 7th through the 10th. So,
Because I had somebody call me and they were all worried that this was somehow going to take away from their event, and she was helping plan it and was just. I said, yeah, I
no, it's
don't think it's.
there's so
a
many
big
days
issue, but
apart. Yeah,
People look at it differently, so
and it's really not. I don't see any kind of a conflict.
okay.
Dave?
The only thing I could say is last week I went to the park board meeting
Yep.
and introduced what we were trying to do and kind of explained it as we knew it at that time. Kind of explained our ideas, our thoughts, got some of their feedback. For the most part, we're on board. I mean, obviously there were questions that couldn't be answered then, but at least we were able to have some discussion and talk with some of the people on the park board and just kind of lay out what we're thinking or hoping. And yeah, I mean, I left that meeting with a very, very positive attitude that, you know, they were going to do what they can.
Yeah, we, this board and committee is willing to help wherever we get instructed to do so. So we have done a lot of work on this to get to this point, which has really been about 2 full months and about 5 meetings. But I'm very glad to get it to this point, to get it off the ground, and certainly I would like the inclusion of all departments here on the town level. So, Joe, Kelly, you have anything you want to add to some of this?
No?
Other than that Emily did a great job on her summary, didn't she?
Sure did.
But thank you, Emily. It was wonderful to get that layout here. So
Happy to help.
we're very glad that you're able to do that. Okay. I've asked Ms. Copenhaver to come here tonight to possibly answer any remaining questions that the committee would have. And I'm going to open that up at this point. If there's anything that the board members are wondering about, then you can ask Ms. Copenhaver your questions. So, Scott, I don't know if you have anything, but
One thought I had was just how do we come up with an initial budget? How do we come up with, what do we think revenues may be? I guess it depends on turnout, but how do we just come up with a very general?
Cindy, could you go
budget.
to the microphone? Yeah.
I'm sorry, please repeat.
Yeah, I mean, first year, I'm sure it's hard to do, but my question was just on a general framework for a budget. How do we estimate and allocate resources and?
Well, I think what we'd first want to do is decide what the main factors of the event is. Fireworks, get a budget, basic budget for fireworks, a band, beer tent band, if that's what the goal is, and then a kiddie activity, and then from there, kind of, we can budget out what we think those resources would cost. That's from from my experience, how I've worked it before. You get the main people down and then you kind of work with that.
You fill in around it then.
Okay.
Right.
Cindy, when do you think that makes perfect
Can
sense?
you get your mic on?
Excuse me, sorry.
Yeah.
When would you expect to have those key items, those key details, for we can kind of assemble a budget?
ASP, ASAP, yeah, just.
Within, once we get off and running, maybe within a few weeks or
Right,
something like
once-
right away.
Yes, right,
Okay.
right as we're approved, I would like your input on, like we mentioned Malt Brothers, I think, and we mentioned some different bands. So I'd like to, your insight on who you see fits the vision, and then I would work to secure them. And then I think we mentioned a firework
Yep.
gentleman.
Yep.
So those main components we want to get secured, and then we go from there.
Dave?
I guess my only question would be, are we looking to like rent tents and stuff like that for heat or, I mean, it could be 100 degrees.
Correct. And so the tents would be, if you have bands, the bands might want to be under the tent, and then for rain, and then we have to make that decision of what we're doing if there's going to be a rain date or if we're going to try to still hold it that day. But yeah, tents would be definitely needed.
And picnic tables and
Correct. Picnic
whatever.
table, tables and chairs, yes.
Okay.
So
And then possibly a stage for the band. I don't know, budget-wise, what you would consider if there is a stage, but that would be something to consider also, whether it be renting or if it's something that the town has.
And from a kid's perspective, are we thinking like bouncy houses or water types of
Yes.
slides or whatever?
Yes, we would want to secure those as soon as possible also. I've worked with a company called Moonwalks out of Chicago. I'm sure Indiana has some resources that I can check into, but you would want to get that. Water slides could be a little messy, just being honest, even though it's in that slide, then the whole area around gets a little muddy. Kids love it, parents don't, but it could go either way with that. But definitely kid activity. You could do like a water, I thought about, in the past, we've hosted like a water balloon toss. Just someone's got to pick up all those little, water balloons, so that's kind of a pain for the P-Dub guys. But I would try to, create and, like I said, get some of your insight, but we definitely need to have some kid activities. Bounce houses are wonderful, though. Kids can spend all day in there.
Rob?
Yeah, I had ideas like that too, and I think we do have some bounce house companies within town, and we'd probably want to reach out to them before
We want to
reach out to
use
anybody
as
else.
many
Right.
local people as
Yeah.
we can.
Yeah, we want to, and the same thing with I know I mentioned food trucks before, but I know there is some traction with getting Malt Brothers involved. Perhaps we can get a couple other restaurants that do catering in town involved too, and they can each have a tent. I don't know if we want to we would want to reach out to them soon and discuss any potential profit sharing.
Yep.
In addition, we need to know from the town council as far as the liquor licensing goes, if we're going to be a go with that, because that's a huge plus. And to me, it's a go or no go. If we don't have a way to to be able to sell beer at an event like that, we're shooting ourselves in the foot for making any money for the town and setting precedent to make reoccurring revenue for parks and for other departments within the town. And the main goal in my mind in this, as far as from an EDC standpoint, is to bring in more foot traffic into St. John that we currently do not have. That'll increase flow into the town of money to businesses, and two, to make money for the town, specifically areas that are hurting like parks. And I know Tyler had mentioned the need within parks for an event planner. I think if we can create a reoccurring source of revenue that we can bank on a specific amount of money or have a ballpark figure, then we could budget for more employees. And we could budget for specifically an event planner in the future, possibly, like as a full-time position under parks. That's kind of where I'd like to see it go. But a lot of this involves how much money we can bring in from revenue sources at events like this. And they're not necessarily beer sales, but it could be, you know, food sales, it could be any other kind of profit sharing with the merchandising, glow sticks, somebody come in and sell glow sticks. Maybe you have, you know, clowns doing face paint or bouncy houses. You're not going to be sharing revenue with them, but they're draw type things. So in my mind, getting the biggest draw for the buck that we can get initially, we would be able to set precedent to go forward and enhance on what we can establish today.
Do you have any insight on what your vision is where for the parks to, you know, create like an ongoing involvement? You know, I'm not sure where you're going or what your thought is on that.
Not yet, where I'm going is if we can get events like this to get off the ground initially, and we could set a precedent and have an understanding of how much revenue the floor would be to a potential revenue max, then we could potentially project budgeting to increase revenue for different departments within town.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Emily?
I don't think I have any additional questions
Okay.
right now.
All right. Joe?
The only thing I would ask is with the kids thing, I've been to others where the fire department does the thing with the suds.
Yeah.
Do we do something like that, or does St. John do that? I don't know.
They used to. They used to do a little like parade where you decorate wagons, and then at the end, the fire department would come and spray, and the kids could run through it, and that
Okay.
was
Well,
really fun.
And another interesting thing, you know, along those lines, we might be able to talk to police and fire and see if we can have, you know, a police vehicle there for the kids, maybe a fire apparatus or a couple of fire apparatus that aren't, you know, used as often in town emergencies. And maybe a couple. And like I said before, we would need to reach out to the departments and the department heads and employees specifically and make sure that they're okay with making overtime, and then make sure that the town is going to be able to pay them overtime for this event too. I think that's important.
I would also like to add with that, with the police vehicle and the fire department, you know, possibly we talked about a military, you know, military to honor our veterans, first of all, Freedom Fest, you know, that would be great if we had military presence there, whether we can get a helicopter or even have an additional vehicle there. And then I know we had talked about bands. I would also like to propose that we check to see if we can get a military band to perform that day also.
Yeah, Great Lakes has a naval band that books up quick. So we might want to reach out to Great Lakes immediately. We do have a contact within the Indiana National Guard, actually have a few, where we might be able to get military vehicles. Also, we'll have to start reaching out on that right away also. Although it's not as hard to get military vehicles if they're not doing active drills on those days.
Yeah, so
But,
Rob, I had reached out last week
Okay.
to my contacts in the Indiana National Guard, and they seemed very open.
Oh, good.
But what they did ask for, they would like to have it as a, you know, would they be we be okay with a slight recruiting event? That's why they would send, you know,
Yeah.
and
Which is-
why would we not, right? We want to support our
Absolutely
military.
fine, yeah.
And they talked like doing a flyover or getting helicopters, one of those two. They seemed to think that was a very real possibility. They gave me a date. I think it was another several weeks off before the application, because obviously the event is in July. I think what they told me is they start processing those applications sometime in early April. So I will reach back out to them and walk that through. So keep you guys up to date.
And I also have reached out to a few local bands I have a lot of contacts with, and music bands like, you know, rock and roll cover bands. So that's a very good possibility. We can get a really good price on one or two of those.
Good.
Right? And
Do you
maybe
still
a
have your in on the food truck too?
I do, but like I said, I want to see
Oh, okay. You wanna
who
do
we
the
can
local
bring in
first.
town first. Because if we can get a Malt Brothers, and we can get a Roma, and if we're expecting 500 and it's going to be staggered, Roma and Malt Brothers might be able to handle that on their own. We're gonna have to reach out to them and speak with them though.
So I talked to Jim as well. He seemed to be extremely excited about the idea, and he said it would be no problem.
And Jim is from which one?
Jim is Malt Brothers.
Okay.
Yeah, he seemed to be, and he was talking, he was already into the money, how to split the money. He would do everything anyway, so he was extremely excited about
Well,
the idea.
And I think we should probably reach out to Pascal's because they are literally right in
Right there.
Midwest.
Yep.
And if we're going to have a pizza or anything along them lines, to not at least have them entertain that
That would be
idea.
good. Yeah.
Yeah,
With
and
them
typically,
literally out in the parking lot.
yeah, typically Roma does.
That would be a great idea.
Other things in catering instead of the pizza. So
Correct.
that might work well in conjunction with them.
I'm just,
And I like pizza.
We do need to look at the beer sales, and we need to do that quick. We need to see, are we going to get the permit? Is that even available
I
within
think
legislation?
that should not be a problem. I'm for it. I am under the strong, I really believe that the rest of the council, the majority of the council, if not all the council, is completely on board with that.
So that's A. Then B, we need to decide if we are going to try to get people certified or have volunteers certified to do the sales so that we could bring in the profits and not have to split those profits.
Right. Let's
So that would
do
keep
the
that
best
in-house.
deal. We want to be fair to everybody, but we want to be fair to ourselves, not fair to the town.
Kelly, any other questions?
I don't know if I have, well, first, I'm sorry I'm late, so if I missed this recap already.
No.
So do we have a budget, or we need to figure out
We're-
these things to
We're going to start
ask for a budget?
establishing it after the town council hires a event planner then.
Okay,
We're
And that
hoping
has
will be
not been
tonight.
done yet.
Yeah, we're hoping that will be, the contract will be approved tonight. That's what we're
Okay.
hoping for.
Is that it? Okay.
Cindy, in your experience, I'm just going to throw a number out there because you may be privy to some of that. Is $50,000 a viable number?
If fireworks are involved, probably not, because I think fireworks are about 20 to 25.
Okay.
25. I was going to
Okay.
mention, I have actually the contract for the Mad Bomber, who was the people we used last year. It was 20,000 last year. Everything on the planet, as we know, is going up in price. Shipping is way higher. So we negotiated, I should say, Jason negotiated a $25,000 fireworks show, which is superior to last year. So it's more money, but it's understandable. So that our current quote is 25,000. But keep in mind, last year we were able to get a nice donation or grant from the South Shore Convention Bureau. I expect we're going to get something sizable again. I hope, I think we got 20,000.
It was 20,000 last year. It covered the entire cost of the fireworks show last year. We're going to try for it again this year, but we need the contract signed first, and then I can start applying for paperwork.
Very good.
So we'll get some grants for some of this.
Wonderful. I know we have, on the business side of things, we do have sponsorships tentatively wanting to do some things too. So, and we have to establish what we're going to charge and how we're going to do that. But the few people I've talked to are on board, so.
Can I ask your thoughts on the beer tent? Would it be just open, or would there be an admission charge? Or is that something to think about? Usually you don't like to do that, but if you're looking for a revenue source.
I mean, I don't think we would want an admission.
Okay,
I mean, especially if we are doing the sales in-house.
got it, okay.
I mean, it might be different if we were relying on a sub-vendor or subcontractor to work with the sales, but I think it's a bigger draw if we can advertise, beer tent, no cover. But, along those lines, we're going to have to make sure that we have those areas roped off. It has to be, we have to fit since we haven't done it yet, all that's going to have to be vetted out, the legal requirements in Indiana of how to separate beer tents from the rest of, what else is going on. So, something else
And-
to think about.
I'm sorry, and extra security or police at that area?
Yes.
We're going to try for Lake County to be the extra security for that event. Our officers will be busy doing their town duties along with the fireworks control or fireworks crowd control and all of that stuff. So using Lake County for the beer tent as security makes financial sense.
Very good.
Have we reached out yet, or?
No, we haven't because it's predicated on the alcohol license. So once we have that secured, then we can start doing other things.
Is there, and I'm sorry, I don't know this answer, is there a ESDA in St. John, like emergencies?
Emergency Disaster Services. And that's all, ESDA's volunteer. So, no.
Good question. I don't actually know the answer to that one.
Yeah.
Because sometimes ESDA, can help patrol the
haven't seen
streets and
any,
stuff. Okay.
Ms. Copenhaver, they haven't had any here, but,
I know the fire department has mutual aid programs, and I know we have the same thing with the police department. I don't think it's anything, acronym related, but
No, I think that's been recently downgraded by the state also. I think the VIPs has been, and the reserve police officers, that whole piece of municipal work has been cut back by the state. I think there was some recent changes made on how many you could have. Don't quote me on that, but I do remember hearing something about that.
okay. Anything else for tonight? Any other questions? All right. Going to go to reports and correspondence. Thank you, Ms. Copenhaver.
Yeah, everybody.
Appreciate your input. Kelly, I'll start with you on the end there. You got anything for us?
I do not.
Okay. Joe?
I do not.
Emily?
Nothing from me.
Rob?
Not only the information from
Yeah.
municipalities.
Scott?
I don't.
No?
Do we have any information more on the facade?
As a matter of fact, I do.
It's just that we've been preoccupied with this
Yeah,
recently, and I was just wondering if we had,
It had to be approved by the town council.
We did that, right? We approved.
I'm hoping you did.
Yeah, I think we did.
But we do have the final guidelines here. And if you don't have one, I'll make sure you get this.
that's all. So,
We have not had any applicants for it.
all right, is it public knowledge yet?
And I think, is it
Jason,
on?
do you know?
Is it online?
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe we could post it on our Facebook page and website and all that stuff, or maybe throw it around for their businesses.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wondered because we hadn't really talked
that?
about it.
So how does that work? Do you get a certain percentage?
Yeah, and I'll give you I'll make some copies and I'll make sure I
Okay.
email them to you, so you're kinda in the loop on that. I'm sorry I didn't give that to you. My
No
fault.
problem.
Can we possibly get some copies on town letterhead so we can give to local businesses?
So it looks
'Cause, I mean,
official.
we're always in
We're in the community.
the community. We're always frequenting these local businesses, so it'd be good to.
Is it okay to do, Jason? Get that?
I don't see any particular problem with that.
Because it is a town program.
Yeah, I don't think the EDC has any stationery at the moment, but it's easy enough to create. So I can create some stationery for you for
Yep.
this committee and put it on there and
Yep.
make it look nice.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
All right. I appreciate that. Any public comments? Mike, did you want to say something? I think I'm good. You're all yours tonight. Okay. I appreciate you coming, and anything that this committee can do to help parks, we're glad to be involved to help you along. Our main goal on this first event is to try to raise some money and get a donation to the Parks Department, so which is badly needed in the community. So, yeah, thank you very much for coming, Cindy. Thank you for coming. With that being said, then I'm going to ask for an adjournment.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Yeah,
I'll second it.
all right, all in favor?